Let's roll, baby. Welcome to the regular season finale of Ringer Wise Guys right here, of course, on FanDuel TV. The boys are ready to go. The playoff scenarios are crazy. We got a picks title on the line. There is a lot cooking. Let's welcome in Cousin Sal, Joe House, Raheem Palmer as we cap off the end of the regular season. We're going to have monstrous doubleheader action next week, live with everybody together, which I cannot wait for. But Sal, as we start off the proceedings, and we're going to get to Wisest Wager coming up in a little bit, does the strategy maybe change going into week 18? Anything different, buddy?
I'm going to have to change all the strategy, and I hate to start the show off on a negative, although I think I have now 18 weeks in a row, but that Colts-Texans game killed me. Everyone was excited about Stroud, and he was phenomenal, but I had a same-game parlay with JT for a touchdown, JT over yards, the adjusted over, all hit, all winners. I needed Indy plus 1.5, JJ. That missed extra point put it right in that tic-tac zone, and what happens? Taylor runs out of bounds short of a first down. Steichen uses his timeout against himself on fourth down. Didn't make sense. He bled the clock and then used his timeout on fourth down. And then Tyler Goodson drops a pass that JJU on a Saturday night bender could have caught. Would have been a first down. Would have probably gone into the end zone eventually. That crushed me coming into Sunday.
Yeah, I get it. It was a cruel finish. And you mentioned the timeout that Steichen called unacceptable. Why Jonathan Taylor is not in the game with your season on the line is beyond me. But House, I'm going to say this. I know Sal's salty, and I feel his pain because you would have had a nice payout there. I think for the sake of the playoffs, having the Houston Texans and C.J. Stroud in and the Gardner Minshew Indianapolis Colts out, I think it's better for our viewing pleasure next weekend, buddy.
JJ, you know that was the script all along. Was there ever any doubt that C.J. Stroud was going to be in? Sal kicks this week off, a glorious week for this crew with a full-length rendition of a betache. I mean, I lost yesterday too. I had C.J. Stroud passing yards over 264 and a half. Look, my only complaint is, why is C.J. Stroud only throwing the ball 26 times in a playoff game? Because last night was a playoff game. 20 of 26, awesome. 26 times, you got to do better than that, Bobby Slowick.
Yeah, I get that, House, but they won a game. So at the end of the day, if you're the Houston Texans with a first-year coach and a first-year quarterback, you can nitpick, you can critique. I'd be dancing to the high heavens knowing C.J. Stroud is going to be my quarterback for years to come. You know, Raheem, I'm a little salty with the Ravens at plus 3.5. I knew they'd compete. I knew they'd fight. I didn't think a Deontay Johnson 75-yard slant to the house would be the difference in winning and losing my bet. And now the Steelers are big Jacksonville Jaguar fans, and they're big Miami Dolphin fans. I think for the sake of viewing perspective, though, Raheem, we don't want any part of the Steelers in the playoffs. Ugh.
Yeah, we don't want any part of the Steelers in the playoffs, but myself and Bill Simmons, we do have a ticket with the Buffalo Bills to miss the postseason. So we're hoping that cashes. I mean, we want to see some entertainment. We want to see your beloved Miami Dolphins win tonight and get that second seed. So we are fans of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, yes. You know I want to see Buffalo out of the postseason the absolute worst way. There's no high nat. There's no beating around the bush. Am I going to get my wish with the depleted Miami Dolphins? And that's a story for a different day. Guys, a lot cooking in this regular season finale of Ringer Wise Guys. We will come to the conclusion of our wisest wagers. Cousin Sal going to win the title. Rat lines. There are a lot, and I mean a lot of rat lines for this slate of games. We will get to that. We will have our dog of the week. Raheem may have a twist on this. Joe House has been the king of the dog all year long. We'll see if that continues to be the case. We're going to have some tasty teasers, parlays, as the family meal is put together by all of the wise guys. And then we'll have Sheil Kapadia in our digital time, Mr. Philadelphia. Get a sense, get a feel for what's going on with the Eagles, who are a hot mess defensively, and come to MetLife Stadium in a game that, let's be honest, doesn't mean a whole lot to Philly, unless you think the Cowboys are losing outright to Joe House's Washington Commanders. All right, guys, It's time. Let's wisen up. And I know, Sal, you wanted to wait out Raheem's pick and just piggyback off of it so you could ensure and guarantee a regular season title. We're not going to allow you to do that here on Ringer Wisecast. The floor is yours. You're starting off the party. What do we got, big boy?
I can't do that? All right, listen, I am 10-6-1. Raheem is 10-7. I would prefer to hear Raheem's pick and then just jump on that, but I'm not like that. I'm not vying for a batting title, JJ, and sitting the last couple days of a weekend series there. That's not my style. My style is taking the worst game on the board and taking the favorite. Bengals, even though this has moved way against me, it was 4.5, 5. Now it's 7.5. I'm sticking with it. And if you would have said in the beginning of the year, Jake Browning versus Jeff Driscoll, you said, all right, that's a toss-up. Who cares? But Browning has proven to be decent. Driscoll, by the way, I looked it up. He's been bouncing around a while. He was selected by the Red Sox with the 863rd pick of the 2013 draft. He really should be the Patriots quarterback right now. But anyway, up against a second-string defense, Jake Browning is. No Myles Garrett to worry about. The Browns are sitting everyone. Bengals, on the other hand, looking to show off. They got a bunch of guys looking for contract extensions, namely Jamar Chase. Driscoll's going to show a very vanilla Browns backup offense. Nothing interesting. No Cooper, no Ford, no kicker. The kicker's hurt. He's not even playing. This is going to be similar to the Steelers-Ravens yesterday, except more firepower for Cincy. 23-7. And that gets me my regular season title. And I think there's like a crown or something I get to wear next week when we get together.
Well, I look forward to seeing that crown or stash, whatever you decide to do. We'll have to put the crack committee together and figure it out. But you're going with Cincinnati over Cleveland. Cleveland probably looking at week 18 as a bye week. Can't believe we're talking about the Joe Flacco-led Cleveland Browns being a very, very dangerous postseason team. Joe House, time for your wisest wager. And I think this is one, quite frankly, that the Podfather isn't going to like.
Well, I'm not sure whether he's going to like it or not, but this one has storyline all over it. And here we are in week 18. What we want to do is talk about storylines. There's one head coach involved in this game where everybody is wondering, will he come back next year? It's the wrong head coach. There's speculation about whether or not this is Bill Belichick's last game as the head coach of the New England Patriots. That's the wrong question. Why is Robert Saleh getting a pass for this below mediocre season out of this Jets team? He's supposed to be a defensive guru, and they arrived this season with a top 5 defense. Lots of teams lost their starting quarterbacks this year. And not only did they compete, the Browns are in the playoffs already, and other teams that lost their quarterback are knocking right on the door trying to get in there. Look, this Patriots team has shown fight and consistency down the stretch. They're 3-0-1 against the spread. Bailey Zappi has them scoring 21 points a game. They didn't score 21 points but one time in the previous 12 games before going to Zappi. The Jets are 1-8 against the spread in their last 9 with blowout losses in 2 of their last 3 games. They got blown out by the Browns, blown out by the Dolphins, and they barely squeaked one out at home against my abysmal C words. I don't need to go into the X's and the O's. The Patriots absolutely own the Jets. I think it continues. Belichick loves beating this team 15 straight times, 12 straight at home. He's going to run the score up. It's going to be a potential snowmageddon up there. I can't wait to see all the Patriots people throwing snowballs down on the Jets, fellas.
House, you nailed it with Robert Saleh. I think the only reason Robert Saleh is coming back is they're getting a mulligan because of what happened with Aaron Rodgers going down 4 plays into the year. No excuses, though. Listen, Cleveland and Kevin Stefanski have had 4 or 5 different quarterbacks, and they're still finding their way to the postseason. I love the Pats every which way. I don't care how public. I don't care how obvious it is. And remember this, the Jets have not won at Gillette Stadium going back to the divisional round of the postseason in 2011. I don't even want to know what Joe House was doing in 2011. That is the last time the Jets won a playoff game, or the Jets won a game, for that matter, in New England. So the Pats, the right side. Now, Raheem, this is a big pick for you. You're a big Cleveland Brown fan because you want to tie Sal. You were red hot. You were muy caliente when it comes to your wisest wager. Regular season finale. What do we got for week 18?
Okay, so I'm 10-7 right now. I'm hoping to win this championship. I've won 5 in a row. We got to make it 6 in a row. And there's no better team to go with than the San Francisco 49ers. I know a lot of people are on the Rams here, but the Rams are benching all of their key starters. Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams, Aaron Donald. And there's one thing that we know about this Rams team is that they don't have a lot of depth. When you look at the other side of the ball, you look at the San Francisco 49ers, they are benching some key guys, but unfortunately, they have some injuries which won't allow them to bench everybody. So they're going to be playing some key guys, and they're going to have Sam Darnold with some of the best pass catchers at his disposal. Deebo Samuel. Guys like that are going to be playing. So they're going to have Sam Darnold in some of these key matchups going up against a second-string Rams team. So I really like the 49ers in this spot. We know Kyle Shanahan completely owns Sean McVay. 10-4 straight up, 10-4 against the spread. He's 9-1 straight up against McVay since 2019. And I think he's won 9 straight regular season games. So he's absolutely dominated the NFC West. I expect it to continue here. This is a sign-off for such a great season for the San Francisco 49ers. And it's going to be a sign-off for my championship after I win the regular season title.
You hear that, Jack? Change my graphic. 49ers -4. That's my best bet.
That's it. The change has been made. Sal, in all seriousness, the Rams could win and get the number 6 seed. Dallas smoked them when they played in the regular season. Are you surprised the approach the Rams are taking in this game, knowing San Francisco is beat up, knowing San Francisco is the 1 seed no matter what? Did you think maybe the Rams would take this game a little bit more seriously or not so much?
No, I think I don't want to call it collusion, but we've seen this now over the last few years where a team, all right, we'll play 18 games. Guess what? If that 18th week doesn't mean anything, we're going to sit our guys for game number 17. And that's why I think the Rams, and then plus you start taking fate in your own hands, right? Well, we're going to avoid this team to play this team, but Stafford in Detroit would be super great, right? Round 1. That's kind of one of the games we're looking forward to.
See, that's what I was rooting for, but I don't want to root against my guy Raheem Palmer, so I guess so much.
It can still happen. We just need Green Bay to lose.
That's
if
right.
Green Bay loses, we still get Stafford in Detroit. So hopefully that's the way it occurs.
Well, we shall see. Last but not least, fellas, I'm trying to claw back to 500. I can't believe the Raiders backdoored me in week 17. Don't get me started on that. But you talk about storyline. I see a storyline with Jacksonville and Tennessee. I know the Tennessee Titans have had a rotten season. I know there's a lot of change in the air with the Tennessee Titans. There are questions about whether or not Mike Vrabel is coaching his last game for Tennessee. Questions about whether or not Derrick Henry is playing his last game for Tennessee. We know Ryan Tannehill is playing his last game for Tennessee. I just think this is a kitchen sink game for them. Mike Vrabel is not the tanking type. You saw the way he responded to a question about the idea of tanking earlier in the week. He looked at the reporter like they had about 10 heads. He's a fighter. He's a bulldog. The Tennessee Titans are coming to play in this game. And I know their offensive line stinks, but have you watched Jacksonville over the last few weeks? Trevor Lawrence is not 100%. The Jacksonville team is basically a 500 or sub-500 team if you take out the 2 games in London. I think at minimum, we are talking about this being a field goal game. And for what it's worth, I think the Tennessee Titans are going to help out the Buffalo Bills, are going to spoil the party, and are going to win this game outright against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't like the feel. I don't like the look of Jacksonville whatsoever going into this. Give me Tennessee. I'm going to grab the 4.5 points because why not? But I think Tennessee wins this game outright and knocks Jacksonville out of the postseason. So there's that. Wisest wagers for week 18. Now, Sal, I thought you wanted to jump in on this, but you
No, well, I have a lot more to say about this in our canine section. I'm a little braver than you.
Ooh, okay.
I got you. I love it.
A little braver than maybe I thought. Okay, I like the sound of that. Now, look, you know what else I like the sound of? Not an SGP. We'll have those later. An anytime touchdown parlay. You're in the lab with that. Let's go.
I know I had to back off the SGPs for a second because a dismal defeat last night. But I'm going to go with a touchdown parlay. Like you said, 3 guys all trying. Teams are all trying, at least in the beginning. CeeDee Lamb to score a touchdown. This is a 3-player parlay. CeeDee Lamb, for God's sakes, is this still on the board? Does FanDuel want to make any money? CeeDee Lamb has scored 7 of his last 8. That's happening. He's going to score again. Mike Evans, 6 out of his last 8 games, he scored a touchdown. Over that stretch, he's had 8 touchdowns. That happens. Tampa Bay needs to win. And A.J. Brown for Philadelphia. I won't love watching this, except that it's going to cash me a bet. He gets it going. I think this is the most important touchdown for the Eagles to score today with all the speculation. A.J. Brown being bad in the locker room, bad clubhouse guy. Reports he's unhappy. The Eagles, if they're going to make a run at the playoffs at that Super Bowl, he has to come up big time like he was earlier in the year. Look at his late September, October. No one had better numbers. He gets open versus the Giants on Christmas Day. He had 6 for 80 yards. I think he scores, so it's Brown, it's Evans, and it's CeeDee Lamb, and I think that pays $5.44, JJ.
That is a very juicy parlay. I love the Evans angle. I love the Lamb angle. I just question and wonder what kind of effort we're going to get from Philadelphia, knowing, hey, Dallas wins, they're the number 2 seed. Philadelphia, more than likely going to be the 5 seed. So how much of A.J. Brown do we see, to me, is the $1 million question. But at $5.44, yeah, that's worth the roll of the dice. All right, guys. Final time this regular season, it's time to get made. All right, I'm starting off the proceedings for our rat lines. This, to me, is the king of rats as far as Week 18 is concerned. I feel like Carolina has been in this conversation for every single one of us at some point throughout this regular season. Well, we know the Panthers season comes to a close today, so it's probably the last time I'm going to be able to do this. Explain to me how the entire world is on Tampa. This line opened at Tampa Bay -5 or 5.5, and it has immediately come down to 4.5, and yet money keeps piling in on beat-up Baker Mayfield and a Tampa team that got absolutely smoked by New Orleans. I'm not laying 4.5 with Tampa in this spot. I don't trust them. They play in the woeful NFC South. Watch the winner of Saints-Falcons find their way into the postseason, even though nobody wants to watch them. This is the rat, the king of the rats. It stinks to the high heavens. Tampa, Carolina, and if you're betting this game, I think you take the points with the Carolina Panthers. All right, Raheem, what do you got for a rat line?
I got the Minnesota Vikings at the Detroit Lions. The Lions are laying 3.5 in this game. The Lions are pretty much locked into the 3rd seed in the NFC playoff picture, but the NFL scheduled this game at 1 p.m. so that the Lions don't rest guys, but they would need the Eagles and the Cowboys to lose to move up to the 2 seed. This is a wrap because I'm not sure and I'm not buying it that the Lions are going to play the entire game. And if they don't play the entire game, this is a Minnesota Vikings team that almost beat them like 2 weeks ago, and they had like 5 turnovers. So if you ask me, the Vikings could win this game outright, or the Lions could blow them out based on what happens. So this is a game that you want to completely stay away from unless you're going to play Lions first half or so. But we just don't know what Dan Campbell is going to do. You're looking at a team like, let's just say they come out and somebody twists their ankle. He could pull everybody knowing that they're not really playing for much. So this is a wrap.
Tough game to handicap because you don't know what Minnesota's thinking. They were in it. They're no longer in it. Do they have motivation to try to win their final game of Week 18? And to your point with the Lions, you're not moving up. I mean, the idea of the Lions finding a way to the 2 seed, the chances of that is slim to none. Take it easy. Make sure you're rested and ready to go come Wild Card Weekend. All right, House. Speaking of teams that might be rested and ready to go come Wild Card Weekend, I think you're featuring one in your final rat line for Week 18.
Yeah, you guys set up the basic concept very well there. I'm looking at the Philadelphia Eagles at the New York Giants at MetLife Stadium in bad weather. The line was 5.5. It's down to 4.5. And the New York Giants are absolutely positively not rolling over in this game. The Philadelphia Eagles have one mission, and that is to get out of this game in one piece. Every one of their most important players out of this game as quickly as possible. I guess they'll be scoreboard watching to see what happens in the first half of that Dallas game to see whether or not the division is still up for grabs. But, you know, headline breaking spoiler, it ain't going to be no competition down here in Washington. So with the Eagles sitting guys and the Giants going all out, I mean, I love all of these points. I like the Giants on the money line. I think Brian Daboll wants to end the season on a positive note with a division win. So really, this one is Giants with the number or Giants on the money line every which way.
We have some thoughts on Giants Eagles that might be featured from yours truly a little bit later on in the show. Sal, last but not least, I think you're the only guy looking at this game from a rat perspective, but I'm very curious to hear why this game is featured in your opinion as a rat. So take it away.
Well, first, let me set up. We use the term loosely, right? Rat line. And God bless you, JJ. I think you made up the term. I love it. And it really, it could be looked at a few ways, right? It could be looked at as based on what we've seen the first 17 weeks. Why is X laying this many points to Y, you know? I feel like you've gone about it the right way. The NFC South, you could pick any matchup in the NFC South and it's going to be a rat line just because how ridiculous that division has been. But here's how I do it. I think if two very good teams are playing each other or two very bad teams are playing each other and the public is all on only one side of those teams, I think that's a rat. So when you tell me New England is laying 1.5, even though they've won 15 in a row, even though this is Belichick's swan song, he wants to make a statement on his way out. The Jets, you couldn't even tell me who's quarterback here. You're going to tell me that that's only 1.5 with New England, with all this history, with all this Belichick stuff, and no one is betting the Jets? This is a rat. Stay away. I know it's in Foxborough, but you know what it's like, JJ, there in New York. When it rains, the rats come to surface, and that's what I think is going on in this Jets-Patriots game. I had that Bucs-Saints game was a rat last week. Baker Mayfield didn't get off the bus until the fourth quarter. I think this is a similar thing. And when you're looking at an over-under at 29.5, really, take the 1.5 at this point. You're going to have an over-under at 2.5, you might as well take the underdog.
So I get your logic as far as going contrarian, but we're still talking about the New England Patriots, the dominance over the New York Jets.
Why isn't it 3?
Hey,
why isn't it 3.5?
You can go and take your money and put it on the Jets. I agree with you. I agree with you, but there's no way in the world I'm making a case with Trevor Siemian and a Jet team that has been abominable over the last 7-8 weeks that they're going to go into that building and win in what could be Bill Belichick's last game in New England. All right, Danny Heifetz, who's been a regular on the Wise Guys. He is one of the Ringer's fantasy football extraordinaires. Sal, he may have a thought on this particular Jet Patriot game. Let's hear it, Heifetz.
Ringer Wise Guys, Danny Heifetz here from the Ringer Fantasy Football Show. I have an offering for the family. Patriots, small favorites over the Jets. Give me the money line. Give me the spread. Give me everything. On the Patriots, Bill Belichick is not going out with a loss to the Jets. It's not it. Bill Belichick, if we know one thing in the 21st century, it's Bill Belichick hates the New York Jets. He's not going out with a loss. The Patriots defense has actually been all right. The Jets, the vibes are awful on the Jets. These players want to go home. They want to get out of here. The Patriots, he's not going out with a loss. You barely have to lay anything. And also, the game is in Foxborough. So give me the Patriots. Give me the money line. Give me the spread. Give me everything. Please tell me you're with me.
10-9 final. 10-9 final.
See,
there you
listen,
go.
you're all over this, Sal. Raheem, I'm invested in New England today. I know House is invested in New England today. Should I be scared on this game?
I don't think you should be scared, but yeah, I do think you should be scared. This one's tough for me just because, this season has been an aberration for what we've seen from Bill Belichick. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, yeah, Bill Belichick's not going to lose his final game. But a lot of times these things don't end well. I mean, they could easily get trashed and then Bill Belichick could get fired tomorrow. So, I mean, I don't think they're going to fire him in that way. He'll probably resign. But I can see this going left. So I'm staying away from this one.
You want to back Robert Saleh and Trevor Siemian? Be my guest. Raheem.
Is Bailey Zappi is on the same level as...
You're right, except for the fact that Bailey Zappi and the Patriots have been in a lot of games the last few weeks, and the Jets have looked like a disinterested, checked out 1, 2, 3.
And now this is their Super Bowl. So now
is it?
They could.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Listen, I'm siding with the Rats on this one. I don't care how stinky it is. I like the Patriots. I'm with you, House. All right, Raheem.
JJ, they're going to be polar rats, but the one thing that everybody should hear, the real caution is, what do the books need to happen here?
Right.
And that's the thing to be cautious about. I obviously made it my wisest wager, so I'm not worried about it, but That's the note of caution I would sound.
That's fair, but remember this, and I hate siding with the public. Public can't lose them all. They can't lose them all. This is one of the ones the public's going to win. Raheem, this game's a lot more fun than Jets-Patriots. You got an SGP for us. Let's hear it.
Yes, we're going with the Chicago Bears +3. DJ Moore over 68.5 receiving yards and Justin Fields over 55 rushing yards. That pays $4.18. Let me shout out to my guys stuck at the Action Network since 1990. Eliminated teams playing teams that need to win over the final 2 weeks of the regular season have gone 164-4. That's 61% against the spread. So this is the ideal spot to back this Bears team. I know they haven't won on the road too much this season, but this is a divisional opponent. These guys know each other well. Aaron Rodgers is out of the building. So I think it's time for the Bears to be able to just assert their dominance at some point. They've been getting beat up for the last 20 years by Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. Jordan Love's pretty good, but I think they're live in this spot. Now, you look at the fact that Darnell Mooney has been ruled out due to concussion. That means DJ Moore is going to get more targets. You look at the Green Bay Packers, their secondary. I mean, they allowed Tommy DeVito to be Offensive Player of the Week. They allowed Bryce Young to carve them up. So I think Justin Fields is going to get his rushing yards. I think DJ Moore is going to get his receiving yards. That's my same game parlay.
You know, I really like it. The only hesitation, Sal, quickly, is it seems everybody is on this bear narrative that they're going to knock the Packers out of the playoffs like the Lions last year. I can't find a soul on planet Earth who likes Green Bay. I really can't.
It is rough, right? This is what we talked about. When you want to find someone on a Friday or on a Saturday who likes the other team. But yeah, I do agree with Raheem. Maybe the Bears are sick of getting kicked around, much like that Week 18 night game last year with the Lions and Packers. So similar result.
We got a lot more cooking. Week 18 Ringer Wise guys. We'll have our dog of the week. We'll have our family meal. There's a lot more to do. We'll figure out who's in and who's out. All that coming up on FanDuel. Guys, right here on FanDuel TV. We have a loaded week coming your way on FanDuel TV. It starts Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern. House, Raheem, yours truly, East Coast bias. We'll be ready to rock. Wild card spreads, reaction to national championship, all that good stuff. Then Cousin Sal, with Cousin Sal's winning weekend. That's going to be Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern on FanDuel TV. And then you're going to have House on a plane, Raheem on a plane, JJ on a plane, Sal's already in LA. Our producer
I might take
Jack
a
is
plane,
already in
too.
LA. Apparently, Simmons is going to join us. And Sal, how about this? Not just one Ringer Wise Guys, but two Ringer Wise Guys shows from Los Angeles, Saturday and Sunday. You excited?
Well, we'll see. That's the plan right now. But let's just get Saturday done because I'm telling you now, you guys haven't been around me and Joe House together, and we try to show off with the eating competitions. And House has a problem keeping his food down. So be careful where you sit with the way we're arranged and situated for the Saturday, Sunday games.
House, I'm staying away from you. I mean, that's fair warning from Cousin Sal. I'm sitting next to Raheem.
Cousin Sal knows it's I think the 11th year anniversary of he and I together. Trying to eat the entirety of New Orleans. But the most important thing for me, you guys have to help me. I think this shot is going to include shoes. What's my footwear for this LA thing?
You got cool kicks? Come on. I just got new sneakers. I'm rocking them. But
All right.
no like elegant dress shoes. Give me something casual. I want casual Jordans from House. You have those?
All right. I do, of course. What do you mean?
We don't want to see your toes. Don't go too LA on
No
us.
flip
That's all I
flops.
want to
Yes,
say.
thank you.
Yeah.
Unless you're going and getting a pedicure. If you get a pedicure, we could deal with the toes. Then it maybe it could be allowed. So we'll be ready to rock on Saturday and on Sunday. Getting you ready for Wild Card Weekend. FanDuel TV, Wise Guys, everybody excited. All right, it's time for an email. Wise Guys, please advise. Let's take a look at this. Hey, Wise Guys, all these playoff scenarios make my head hurt. I mean, they did yesterday. I feel a little bit better today, but just tell me how I can win a couple of bets. All right, we like the sound of that. I like the Saints and the Seahawks today against inferior competition. So why wouldn't I just take them each to make the playoffs? Looking for a Bears win. New Orleans is at plus 250. Seattle is at plus 320. That comes from Fletcher. Raheem, I don't love this. I know in theory it sounds great getting New Orleans at 250 and Seattle at 320, but correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's a reason going into week 18, you're getting the numbers that you're getting on those two particular teams, right? Like out of those two, I would say, if anything, I think Seattle a little bit more New Orleans. I don't know why. I just do. I'd rather have more of an inflated price, if you know what I mean.
So first things first, let's break down the New Orleans Saints. He's getting plus 250. In order for the Saints to make the postseason, they have to win, and Carolina has to upset Tampa Bay. You can get that at plus 350 right now. So that's a bad bet right now. So if you're going to do that, you're better off just parlaying those teams. Now, when it comes to Seattle, obviously they need some help. You need the Packers to lose to a team who they've beaten more often than not. And in Seattle, this is a team who I like today, but at the same time, they've been on a downward trend. So if you're going to just back a long shot, I don't know if Seattle's the one. I think New Orleans is probably the one.
Now, House and Sal, I know you guys were invested in New Orleans going back to the start of the year. House, did you ever end up hedging out of that, yeah or nay?
Of course I did. I have a 3-leg money line parlay that is absolutely going to lose. I combined the Bucks. The hedge is really with the Buccaneers. I didn't want to pay all that nonsense for their money line, so I put it together with the Dallas Cowboys, who are going to win today, and then I had to do it with New England, and that's the leg that probably is going to cost me, but I hedged out of some of that Saints position with that 3-leg money line parlay.
Yeah, I just feel like one of these South Demons is going to come rear its ugly head, right, JJ? Don't you feel like either Jacksonville or Tampa Bay or both will lose games that they should win on the road? But I will say to our emailer's question, Raheem is right. Shop this stuff around because one team to bet straight is not necessarily the best result for you money-wise. If you could bet a parlay or a team to not make the playoffs, shop around. Someone could be asleep at the wheel, but make sure you know what you're doing because some ties could really screw you and you'll be chewing your heads off at the end of the day.
All right, guys, let's rip another email. And this one on the subject of Offensive Rookie of the Year. We'll take a look at the future, not an email. Close but no cigar. I'm giving myself an A for effort. CJ Stroud appears to be an absolute lock to be Offensive Rookie of the Year, especially after leading the Houston Texans to the postseason with their win over Indianapolis. And hey, if you get a little cooperation from the Titans, the Houston Texans will be hosting a playoff game. Puka Nacua is at plus 900. He has a chance to set some records. So, Sal, some would say, oh, if he's a record-setting rookie wide receiver, oh, therefore he's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I don't know if you feel this way. That line being at minus 4,000 tells me all I need to know. The voters value the quarterback more. Stroud took his team to the playoffs. Puka could go for 400 yards today. I don't care. C.J. Stroud is going to be Offensive Rookie of the Year. To quote Stevie Wonder, this baby is signed, sealed, delivered.
Wow. Well, there's something else you may need to know, and that's I have money on Stroud to win Offensive Rookie of the Year at 10-1 on the very first FanDuel football show this year. You know, before Simmons and I came on in the preseason, FanDuel was all 3-year-old Phillies, right? All ruled the network. But then I went and I took Stroud at 10-1. So caution right there. Going into last night, he was minus 850. Obviously, great performance last night. Now minus 4,000. Leads the league in touchdown to interception ratio, over 4,100 passing yards. I know he needed another half yard for House to be happy. Not taking anything away from Puka Nacua. He's probably going to break the record, although I'm sure he would like to be on the receiving end of someone other than Carson Wentz today. But I think it's C.J. Stroud's award to win.
And let's be honest. Nacua gets that record, Raheem. He's coming out of the game, right? Like, I don't think we're going to see much of Puka at any point in this game against the Niners.
Yeah, we're not going to see much of him at all. He's going to come in, he's going to catch a couple of passes, and he's going to sit on the bench, probably drink some wine, eat some chicken fingers, whatever they have for him to chill and rest up for the postseason. But C.J. Stroud, he's won this award weeks ago, but he really wrapped it up yesterday. I mean, they were behind, down in distance on every single one of those drives. Like, at the end of that game, it just was absolutely incredible. 1st and 20, 2nd and 20, 3rd and 14. He converted, got the touchdown. He locked it up yesterday. That was the memorable drive from a rookie.
Guys, let's take a look at the board at the moment for Defensive Player of the Year. And I think the odds at this particular point in time kind of indicate where we stand on this award. Myles Garrett is at minus 200. T.J. Watt, who had a terrific Week 18 against the Ravens, got hurt at the end of that Week 18 game. He's at plus 200. Micah Parsons at plus 350. House, I know we might not see much of, or if any, of Myles Garrett in the final game of the regular season. I still think it's a lock, dude. With that Browns defense, with their kind of flux at quarterback throughout the year, I think the voters are going to give Myles Garrett that Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, we looked at this on this show. It was either 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, and both Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons were at plus money. TJ Watt was way down the list. And at that point, we urged people. We said, drop whatever you're doing. Go bet Myles Garrett to win Defensive Player of the Year at plus money. And look at what's happened in the market since then. It is absolutely the right outcome. Great job by TJ Watt pushing forward. Great job by Pittsburgh. But really, Pittsburgh, you know, they're in the position that they're in because they finally figured out a guy that could actually play quarterback for their team. Myles Garrett is the reason that Kevin Stefanski should win Coach of the Year. He is the reason that the Browns are locked into a great playoff position right now. They're poised. I don't want to do anything to poor Browns fans, but they're poised to win their first playoff game in a couple of handful of years. I really like it for Myles Garrett.
Wow, I was forgetting about Baker Mayfield and the Browns going into Pittsburgh and winning outright against the Steelers.
A couple of years.
I was going to say, House, I don't forget because I had money on the Steelers and I'm still disgusted. I'm still sick to my stomach. It would have been a perfect wild card weekend that COVID year of 2020. Sal, did you end up betting both of those guys at plus money to guarantee profit? I remember you mentioning that. Did you actually do that?
Of course I did. In the beginning of the year, I had Micah Parsons. But yes, you guys gave good advice. I gave terrible advice. I said they were both plus money a few weeks ago. I said bet them both. You'll collect the margin. And now TJ Watt has somehow snuck into the equation. So that's probably not good advice. But I'm gonna say something here. I'm biased, so I still like Micah Parsons. And I know Garrett's stats are better, sacks, pressures. How about this? How about we add this stat? Obvious penalties that are not called on offensive linemen when guarding one of these guys. Everybody says the Cowboys get all the calls. Watch a Micah Parsons game. He spends the whole game double-teamed, his head slammed back like a Pez dispenser for 3 hours. Never called. That should matter. He's my pick for Defensive Player of the Year.
All right, guys. Enough for Defensive Player of the Year. House, this has been your moment. This has been your time to shine all year. Let's get barking, boys. Dog of the week, week 18 finale. Cue up the graphic, baby. That's right. Man's best bet. Look at those dogs. They've been barking. They've been barking for House all year. Sal, you kind of hinted at where you were going for a dog here. So I'm going to start with you. And I have a feeling I'm going to like it.
Yeah, well, my dog is it's a Tennessee dog. What is a southern dog with a guitar? What are we doing? That's nice. It's like a hound dog. It ain't nothing but a hound dog, actually. If you look at it, Tennessee Titans. I know you're taking the points, JJ. I'm going plus 176, 5.5, 3.5, now 4.5. Doesn't matter. I'm taking the win on the field. Tannehill, Henry, Vrabel could be their last shot together. And you know what? I'm not even sure that they're worse than the Jags at this point. I think there's good value. DeAndre Hopkins comes up with a big game. This is reminiscent of a couple years ago when the Colts went into Jacksonville in Week 18. They were a double-digit favorite, so that's a little different. But they crapped the bed, and now Jacksonville is on the other side. I don't even think this one's close. I say 27-13, Titans win. Get me that plus 176 hound dog there. That's a winner in the Music City.
Guys, how about the fact that Titan line is down to 3 at FanDuel?
Wow.
So I hope you were watching the show earlier today and locked in the number we gave out, because it's like there is a lot of momentum on Sal's side and on my side when it comes to the Tennessee Titans. Raheem, you're getting very creative for a final dog of the week for the regular season. Show off that creativity, please.
Okay, so you guys know House has been dominating us, taking us into the deep waters and drowning us. He's up 6.5 units this year. I'm about even. So I hit the Arizona Cardinals last week. But what does Herm Edwards say? You play to win the game. So I brought Snoop Doggy Dogg in the entire dog pound. We're going to parlay the Atlanta Falcons, the Tennessee Titans, and the Miami Dolphins to get us about 14 units so I can go ahead and jump past House and I can bring home 2 championships. Look, Sal already broke down why he liked the Titans. But this Jaguars team's lost 4 straight games before snapping their losing streak against the Carolina Panthers. They were giving up 29 points per game during that stretch, so I expect the Titans to be able to score. When it comes to the Falcons, are you really going to put your money on Derek Carr and Dennis Allen in a must-win game? Derek Carr, 37-2 against the spread, 35%. Dennis Allen, 7-16-1 against the spread, 30%. And then finally, when it comes to the Dolphins, the Bills are absolutely fraudulent. They were 12.5-point favorites to Easton Stick in his first start, and they almost lost. They were 14-point favorites against Bailey Zappi, and they almost lost. If it wasn't for the injuries, the Dolphins would be 1.5, 2-point favorites in this spot. I know Raheem Mostert's not playing. I know Jalen Waddle's not playing. But if this game is close, and I expect it to be close, Tua is going to win this game. And I'm not just saying that because JJ is my guy. That's my 3-team parlay. I'm taking this down, and I'm winning the championship.
Well, I love it, Raheem. And I hope that Tennessee and Atlanta bring it home for you and that we can all root together against my friends from Western New York who I had to put up with for all those years up in Syracuse, and for all those Western New Yorkers who got out of the bad weather. I can't blame them. Have you ever been to Western New York or Central New York? In the month of January, it stinks. They're all rocking at the elbow room. They're dancing. They think they're going to the postseason. Well, they might be going to the postseason, but hopefully they're not winning the division title, and your underdog parlay is going to cash. Guys, for my final dog of the week, I'm going to my backyard. It's the Eagle-Giant game, and I'm grabbing 176. Look at that snowy, beautiful dog. There's snow falling out my window right now. It's snow. It's rain. I don't even know what it's going to be. I just question what the motivation is going to be for the Philadelphia Eagles. We have hit on this entire show. The Eagles are in the postseason. If the Cowboys go and beat the Washington Commanders, it does not matter for Philadelphia what they do here in Week 18. The Giants have been competitive and spunky in a lot of these games down the stretch. They beat the Packers. They were in it against the Rams. They were in it against the Eagles just a couple of weeks ago. And there's another monkey wrench in play. That turf at MetLife Stadium has been a killer to a whole lot of teams. If you're the Eagles and you know the postseason is coming up, do you want your star players on the field on that MetLife Stadium turf in a game that means diddly squat? I don't think so. I'm grabbing the
no, yeah,
Giants.
sure.
Give me the, not just points, give me the 176, baby. I think Tyrod Taylor and Brian Dable have a moment walking off the field. Giant fans in my life won't be happy because they're going to screw up their draft pick. Giants win. That's how we wrap up Dog of the Week. But we got to close it out with the king of the dog. House, last but not least, baby. Let's hear it.
They're showing a beautiful greyhound to reflect my proper position here as the front runner with all the speed. But I do want to say, I love what all you guys have put together this week. I am on the Titans. I am on the Giants. And just for Dream brings out the biggest guns, the Snoop Dogg and the Dog Pound. I have to bet that. So I'll be riding along with it. I'm rooting for all those legs. That's a nice hedge. If I have to lose, let me lose to Snoop Dogg. But my dog today is the Minnesota Vikings at the Detroit Lions. Dream touched on this when he was talking about the rat line situation there. Minnesota does still have a very, very, very outside shot to make the playoffs, but they did the right thing. They declared that Nick Mullins will be their quarterback for this game. And they were in this position a couple weeks ago against Detroit. It was a one-score game. It was a very close game all the way down to the end. And with Detroit, now Dan Campbell said, we're going to bring all the guys out and all of them are going to play. They really shouldn't be doing that. So I think that there is enough of a question mark about Detroit through the whole game. I like Detroit through the first half, but for the balance of the game, the Vikings at plus 160, plus 162, whatever the number might be at the moment. That's my dog of the week, fellas.
Haas calling Dan Campbell on his bluff like it's me on the poker table. So, Haas, you got a little back-to-back and belly-to-belly here. You got an SGP. Let's hear it.
Well, it picks up very nicely off of the case that I just made. We're looking at the Detroit Lions winning the first half. The spread is minus 2.5. So it's the Lions first half spread minus 2.5. And then we're just going to load up on Vikings props. Justin Jefferson over 96.5 receiving yards. He needs only 118 yards to get to 1,000 yards. He's going up against a Lions pass defense that just let CeeDee Lamb have 225 yards. The third leg of this is Nick Mullins over 265 and a half passing yards. This three-legger pays out at plus 387. The Mullins leg is easy. The Vikings are just going to chuck, and then chuck some more. It's what Mullins likes to do. It's his downfield acumen is the thing. Hopefully he doesn't throw 4 interceptions again, but that three-legger is a nice way to hedge off of the Vikings potentially not coming through on my underdog play of the week, gents.
All right, let's give you an SGP to wrap it up. From our parlay perspective, I'm going to the big game of the night. I'm going back to the well. The Dolphin SGPs, fellas, have been very good to me throughout the regular season. But let's do it one more time. I'm going to take the Dolphins alternate spread. I said this is a one-score game. Give me the 8.5. Tyreek Hill. There's no Jalen Waddle. Tyreek Hill said a week ago it was the worst game he's ever played in his NFL career. I'd love to have bad games and still get 70 to 80 yards. But listen, we hold ourselves to different standards. I think he easily goes for 80 plus. And then Josh Allen has owned the Miami Dolphins throughout his career. I think he will be active with his legs. I like 40-plus rushing yards. And I like Josh Allen around the goal line to go and get himself an anytime touchdown. This parlay pays a little under 5 to 1. I love it. 8.5, Tyreek for 80, Josh Allen on the ground for 40, and then Mr. Allen to go and get himself in the end zone. So that's going to wrap up our SGPs. Let's see the injury board. Who's in, who's out? There's a reason why I like Tyreek Hill over 80 receiving yards. I mean, that's always a good bet. But no Jalen Waddle and no Raheem Mostert for the Miami Dolphins. Josh Jacobs out for the Vegas Raiders. This is a big scratch for New Orleans. Alvin Kamara not going to be able to give it a go. And then no surprise as far as the quarterbacks are concerned. Baker Mayfield in, even though he's going to be beat up for Tampa Bay. And Trevor Lawrence in for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And they're going to need him. It's winning in for the Jaguars. And if Jaguars go and lose this game, they're probably, and not probably, they definitely are on the outside looking in. All right, guys, let's get to the lab. Let's get to our family meal. We've been thinking about this all week. I'm making sure I go to I didn't even know who was first, so I had to go to my script. I feel like I'm a chef looking in the kitchen, making sure the recipe is in order. House, you always give us the appetizer, so what do you got for us?
Yeah, this might be a little bit heavier than an appetizer. We're calling it the NFC Feast because we're looking at the NFC East. We've been talking about it this entire show. There is a way to correlate some outcomes here and produce a nice meal. These are kindred kebabs. We've got beef, chicken, and beautiful lamb all together. You don't have to lay the points, but what we're going to do is we're going to take the first half. We're going to play Dallas on the money line to win the first half against the Washington Seawards. And we're going to match that up with Philadelphia to win the first half of their tilt, because I think both of those teams, obviously Dallas is going to take care of business, and then Philadelphia, both in terms of trying to reestablish a rhythm, but also scoreboard watching. They'll get in at halftime, see what's going on, and then reassess, which is why I think the Giants are going to win this game. That's the third leg. That's the delicious savory lamb kebab at the end of this thing. Plus 824. Dallas first half money line, Philly first half money line, Giants to win the game, plus 824. How about some kebabs to get things going?
That sounds delightful. Plus 824. Didn't expect to see that for the family meal. Raheem, rumor has it you're going to be throwing some fish our way for your contribution. What would that be?
Yeah, we're definitely going to be throwing some flying fish your way. We're taking the Seattle Seahawks -2.5. And look, Geno Smith gets a $2 million bonus if the Seahawks make the playoffs. I know they need some help, but it starts right here against the Arizona Cardinals. Last week, you guys know we had the Arizona Cardinals money line plus 530 against the Philadelphia Eagles. Well, the name of this game is you buy low and you sell high. And this is the perfect spot to sell high on this Arizona Cardinals team who won their Super Bowl last week. Jonathan Gannon, he was the coordinator for the Eagles last year. This game means nothing for the Arizona Cardinals, and typically you want to fade those playoff teams, as I spoke on earlier. But I just like this spot for Seattle. I know they've been struggling, but they're taking on this Cardinals defense, which is brutal. Dead last in EPA per play, dead last in success rate. Last 5 games, they're giving up 30 points per game. So Geno Smith should be able to make do on that $2 million bonus. I'm rooting for him. We're going to take the Seattle Seahawks with our meal of the day, flying fish. Go to Public Market in Seattle, get your seafood, and do what you do.
And some rumors about maybe this being the final game Pete Carroll ever coaches with the Seattle Seahawks, and maybe he would ride off into the sunset with a victory over Arizona, especially if the Seahawks are on the outside looking in come playoff time. Something to think about. All right, guys, speaking of motivation, when it comes to coaches whose jobs may be in question or their futures may be in question, that's exactly where I'm going for my contribution for the family meal. I know we've talked about it maybe being a rat. I don't care. The Patriots are not losing to the New York Jets. So we are going to take the Patriots to go and win their regular season finale against Planet Fitness Robert Saleh and Trevor Siemian. No thank you on that. I'll take the Patriots to win the game. And another game I like here, the Raiders have beaten the Broncos. The Raiders have talked about this all week, the idea that they are playing for Antonio Pierce and that they want Antonio Pierce to be their head coach next year. You heard it from Devontae Adams. You heard it from Max Crosby. I think that plays a major role in this. I don't know what the motivation is going to be for the Broncos. I don't know where the Broncos are at. They just beat the Chargers last week. Whoop-de-doo. I don't care. I think it is a spirited effort from Antonio Pierce and his boys. Give me the Raiders and the Patriots to win. You're getting at it plus 195. A leftover 2-team money line parlay. I like the sound of that in a sandwich. All right, Sal, last but not least, what do you got?
All right, well, I'm going down Joe House's road here and taking first half parlay. It makes me sound smarter, even though I'm not, like dissecting the game even more. But there are going to be team scoreboard watching. Eagles -3.5. This went up a little. Boys get ahead big, they'll rest, but until then, they should put forth their best showing. As bad as they've been lately, 21 in the first half against the Cards, 20 in the first half against the Giants on Christmas Day, and then I'm going to take your Dolphins. I think they're going to be playing tough. You don't want to embarrass yourself, JJ, right? McDaniel's got plans for this team to do stuff in the playoffs. They've got to come alive. I think if it's 10-10 at half, I like it. I'm getting a 1.5. So there you go. They've had at least 13 first half points in 6 of the last 7. But let me just say something about what Raheem brought up, because it's in my head and I can't get it out. Geno Smith, $2 million bonus if he makes the playoffs. He can only be responsible for half that, obviously, because Seattle needs to win, Green Bay needs to lose. Is it worth it? And I wouldn't endorse this except as a movie plot to give someone $300,000 to pull a Nancy Kerrigan on Jordan Love on the other end. I don't know. We got to make that movie, House. I'm telling you.
The real play to me is for Geno Smith to find a long snapper for the Packers and get that guy, slide that guy to $500,000. What do you think that guy makes in a year under any circumstances?
I like it.
Right?
You
got to find a crucial player that can really swing an outcome. Long snapper, very underrated.
It's not as violent as what I'm proposing, but I like that too, yeah.
If you had money on Nancy Kerrigan getting referenced in the regular season finale of Ring of Wise Guys, you were dancing right now because you made yourself a whole lot of scratch and a whole lot of loot. Guys, we got some YouTube comments. These are always fun from our audience that is watching. You have a lot of different ways you can watch the program, so I want to make sure that we share these. Sal, what's Aunt Chippy's play of the week? This one comes from Trent B. Love 30.
Aunt Chippy is going to drop about $75 to $120 at the Orleans Casino in the slot machines. That's all. That's her play of this week.
Is she playing the Froggy? Is she playing Wheel of Fortune? What's her slot of choice?
I don't know. Whatever's closest to the cigarette girl. That's where she's going.
Disgusting. Yeah. I'm repulsed already. This one comes from Aiden House. Please adjust your color.
My color or my collar?
Collar. Sorry, I said that improperly. What else?
This is I'm channeling my Brian Colangelo. This is a normal sized collar. You move on.
I like it. So will the jacket be making an appearance next week in the FanDuel studios or Spotify studios in Los Angeles?
I don't think Spotify is going to spring for the shipping. This is a one-of-a-kind piece. This is like, the jacket that Paul McCartney wore when the Beatles wrote Let It Be. It's very, very, very special. I don't think I can bring it my own self out to California, and I don't think Spotify wants to pay for the shipping.
That's disappointing. I mean, listen, when in doubt, garment bag, have your friends in the airline, put it on a hanger, and take care of business. But House doesn't want to do that. Anyway, that's going to do it for the regular season finale of Ringer Wise Guys. For Cousin Sal, Joe House, Raheem Palmer, and John Jastremski, we will be back double header Saturday and Sunday on FanDuel TV. Stay tuned, digital time. We got a lot more coming your way, getting you ready for Week 18. Boys are out. Be good, everybody. Bonus time, Ring of Wise Guys. I think you know this cast of characters. Raheem Palmer, Joe House, Cousin Sal, and John Jastremski. Getting you ready for Week 18 across the board in the NFL. We had a fun hour on FanDuel TV. We got a lot more to do. Sheil Kapadia is going to join us in a little bit, give us some insight on what's going on as far as the Philadelphia Eagles, who are reeling every which way. And he and Ben Solak are going to have some picks like they do each and every week. But guys, let's start off digital time with an email that didn't make the cut. And it is, as I like to say, significant to some. Well, wise guys. Only one of you believed in my Wolverines in the semis. Thanks, Raheem. I know Sal's heart is with the Pac-12, but where are you guys putting your bets? What's the wise guy play for the national title game? John, go blue. All right, Raheem, got to give you props. All three of us knuckleheads were on Alabama. I'm still salty, quite frankly, about that fourth down call from Alabama, but it will be Michigan and Washington. How impressive was Michael Penix? Washington with all those receivers. Michigan with that terrific pass rush. Raheem, you got the college game right, so you get the honors here. Where do you stand on a national title game for Monday night?
I'm going to lay it. Michigan -4.5. Again, when you look at Michigan, you talk about that pass rush, and Washington hasn't played a team with a pass rush this well this season. You look at Texas, their sack percentage was 59th in the nation this season. Michigan ranked 6th. The team with the best sack percentage that Washington has played all year came 22nd in that metric. That was Oregon State. Huskies beat them 22-20. Michael Penix, I mean, I hate to bet against this guy. This guy looked tremendous, but Texas didn't get to the quarterback last week. He was able to do whatever he wanted. That won't be the case against this physical Michigan's defense. And then when I look at the defense for Washington, I'm not buying that they're going to be able to slow down this Michigan team. I know J.J. McCarthy, they were a little bit sloppy last week against Alabama, but that's Alabama and the SEC. Pac-12, I'm going to miss them to death, but they got some soft defenses out there. So let's go with Michigan -4.5.
No surprise, Raheem, going back to the well with the Wolverines. Sal, I know you've seen a lot of Penix and you've seen a lot of Washington this year with your Pac-12 affiliation with the Ducks. They've had Tiger blood all year. Let's be honest. They really have. They've been covering these games left and right. They've been pulling these games out left and right. The betting public is all over Washington from a money line perspective, from a spread perspective at 4.5. Are you going back to the well here with Washington, or are you looking at the favorite?
Yeah, I feel a little square here grabbing the 4.5 points, but that's what I'm doing. And, you know, I think if you're betting Michigan, obviously, great team, but you're betting a little of the value in the jersey and the history and the fact that they may steal signs, which could very well happen. But I'm looking at this Washington team, and we've never seen a matchup like this in the final game where it's number 1 offense versus number 10 like number 7-9 defense against. It's crazy how it's matched up between the two teams, but it's gonna on Monday night, offense wins championships. I like Rome Odunze. I like him to score a touchdown at even odds. Jalen Polk will step up. Dylan Johnson is healthy. Plus, on Cousin Sal's winning weekend, Husky superfan Joel McHale made an impassioned pep talk to the University of Washington, whereas if even one player hears it, they're going to win that game by 73 points. Take the Huskies plus the points.
House, I'm with Raheem on this. I'm taking Michigan. I just get the sense here Michigan's defensive line is going to wreck the game, and that their physicality is going to be something that Washington hasn't necessarily seen at any point this year. And I also am of the belief here, Harbaugh and Michigan have been waiting forever to get to this point. Last year, they lose to TCU. 2 years ago, they were probably still hungover from the Ohio State game. I hate betting against Penix. He's fun to watch. That team, they got talent. They got explosive playmakers galore. I'm just going with the team that to me is a little bit more battle-tested here in this spot. I'm taking Michigan. I'm laying it. I love the fact that everybody's on Washington in this game. So we got 2-1 here in favor of the Wolverines. Where do you stand, buddy?
I'm not taking a side. And part of this could be sour grapes. I don't play college football in the gambling markets very often, but the inability of Alabama to respond to Michigan throwing the ball out of the backfield to their running backs. They had a 45-minute halftime where both bands were out on the field, and the brilliant Nick Saban couldn't come up with a response to that. I'd like the under. The number's 56.5. I think the pathway for the guys that like Michigan, for Michigan to win this, is for them to do kind of their ball control. They had long drives against that Alabama defense, and they were time-consuming drives. That is the best way for them to manage Michael Penix and that explosive Washington offense. But I'm not willing to invest in Michigan. I didn't think that they were the better side against Alabama. My mind hasn't changed. I like the under 56.5 and a slower ball control kind of vibe.
You know, I like that underplay. And Raheem, for what it's worth, I do think the under and Michigan is a nice direct correlation. I think if you like Washington, this game's going to get nutty and there's going to be a lot of points. I think Michigan's going to go and win this game. It'll be under that total.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't see it as being like just a high scoring game. I just think the highest scoring game came against Texas, and I think this will be a slower paced game. So I agree with you.
When we come back, Sheil Kapadia, Ben Solak, they have pick score, extra point taken, week 18, regular season finale. And then rumor has it, Sheil's going to join us after he spends some time with Solak. So double dip, back to back, belly to belly. That's coming your way next.
Locks of the week. Lock them up. I'm starting this time. I got to change something up. All right. I'm starting this week because there is one game that I like quite a bit. The Lions -3. It's moved down. It was -3.5 earlier. It's down to -3 against the Minnesota Vikings. Big thing to me, Ben, with this Vikings team is that I feel like their defense the past few weeks has lost some of its luster. The Lions have played them already just a couple of weeks ago, so it's not like this is going to be brand new preparation. And so while I am a little afraid because Nick Mullins did throw for 411 against this defense like 2 weeks ago.
Bad to say, yeah.
Yeah, that does not make me happy, but a 3-point line, I like the Lions at home to cover that number. There you go. All right, what do you got?
All right, pinch your nose, Sheil. Don't breathe in. You ready?
Oh, no.
Patriots -1.5 against the Jets.
It's on my list. I was thinking about taking it for my next one. I'll have to decide now whether I switch it up or not.
So I like them to cover against the Jets. I especially like it because Belichick wants to win every game because he's going for that all-time win record, total wins. And with a win, he ensures the Patriots don't get the 2 seed or the number 2 overall pick, excuse me. And Belichick knows, I think, that he ain't around to make that number 2 overall pick if they get it. So he sure would like to win. And on his way out the door, make sure that they ain't getting a top 2 pick of one of these quarterbacks. And so I do think that Belichick, this game is meaningful to him against the Jets, especially. I like the -1.5 in what will be a disgusting game to watch, but I will watch it with money on it, like the sick little man I am.
I'm going to talk about holding your nose. Let's go to this Chiefs-Chargers game. Chargers are 3.5-point favorites against the Chiefs. I know Blaine Gabbert can't get them within 3 points against that crappy Chargers team. Get out of here. No one's watching this. I'm watching this game. I'm taking the Chiefs +3.5. Come on. Andy Reid's going to have Blaine Gabbert prepared for that game. I know the Chiefs are playing their backups. Again, you're looking at that saying, oh, they're playing their backups. You got to take the other team. No. That's the trap. That's the Week 18 trap. Stay away from the Week 18 trap. I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs +3.5 as my final pick. And you wonder why I suck at this.
God be with you on that pick. I didn't even give a second thought to this game. No analysis, no awareness of who's playing.
We don't need to spend any more time on it. All
right. I'm not going to take the Bears, actually. I've been on the Bears a lot. Yeah. It's one of those things where like you'll know what you want to do when you get there. Okay. The other one that I have written down is Raiders -2.5 at home against the Broncos, which I'm going to take.
I like that one too.
And it boils down to one very simple thing. This team loves Antonio Pierce.
Yeah.
They really, really do. Devontae Adams up at the press conference this week, I've made it clear that I want Pierce. Pierce is my guy. Like that is the most influential player on this team. I think that they are not a 1-2-3 Cancun team. I think they are a 1-2-3 let's win for Antonio team. This might be our last game playing for him, interim head coach, so on and so forth. And then on the other side, you have not the exact opposite sensation, but you have a opposite sensation in Sean Payton, where it's like, hey, we just kind of really publicly told the media that the coaching staff was trying to give up on this team after like a 4 out of 5 game winning streak. Like they were winning games, and the front office and the coaching staff were going to the quarterback being like, hey, can you waive your injury guarantee so we can bench you? Like that to me reeks of 1-2-3 Cancun. That to me reeks of like, okay, well, like let's just finish the season and get out of here, because they already moved on when we were around 500, right? They weren't even engaged with us then. And so to me, this is a nice Raider spot.
There you go. Yeah, I like that one quite a bit. I think your read on that is absolutely correct.
So after giving us all that wonderful knowledge with Ben Solak, Sheil Kapadia joins us for the Week 18 Ringer Wives Guys regular season finale. Buddy, welcome to the show, number one. Number two, I have a question for you. Out of the gate, all these games to choose from, you said, let's go with some games that don't have a whole lot on the line as far as playoff possibility is concerned. Curious your logic right out of the gate. I thought you'd be giving us the heavy hitters.
No, I like the games where one team's got a lot to play for, the other team's got nothing to play for. You fade the motivated team. You go with the team that's got it, because all the square bettors are going to say, oh, this team's got something to play for. Of course, they're going to cover this. And you take the other side. So I got a little bit of that. And then I'm just looking at I'm looking for the 1, 2, 3 Cancun teams, JJ. The teams that are just out there. They got their trips booked. They're trying to get in and out of there. No injuries. And I'm trying to fade them a little bit. So that's the Week 18 strategy. I'm not telling you it's going to pay off. It probably won't. It'll backfire based on a lot of my picks in recent weeks. But that's what I'm going with.
Listen, I get it. Hopefully the Jets are one of those 1, 2, 3 Cancun teams. That is something that is up my alley, as I have New England -1.5. Sal, I know you think it's a rat, but I think the Jets are 1, 2, 3 Cancun. It's snowing in New England. Let's get me to vacation. Now, Sal, I know you have a theory for Sheil, or I shouldn't say a theory. That's a wrong way to put it.
Yeah.
You have some needling you want to do to our buddy, so I'm going to let you do that.
Well, that's not even needling. It's just a question. As an Eagles fan, I would like to know from Sheil, is it weird not ever knowing if your quarterback is good because he gets so much of an assist for 3 hours every game, every week, with guys pushing him from behind, and you could never actually determine his real value as a player or as a quarterback in the league? Does that mess you up a little, or have you come to terms with it?
Well, listen, Sal, I'm team content. So I don't care if the Eagles win, lose, as long as they're entertaining me and I've got something to talk about, I'm good with it. I will say my co-host on Ringer NFL, Ben Solak, is a big Eagles fan, and the guy wasn't alive the last time the Cowboys got past the second round of the playoffs. I don't know if if the push tush gets you the championship weekend, it's okay. You don't know if the quarterback's good or not. I think it's all right. I think it's okay.
Okay, good. All right, you answered correctly for your partner who's an Eagles fan. I like that.
Now, sure, we got a couple of games in the NFC East that obviously have significance. Let's start with that Cowboy-Commander game. House is a Commander guy. I know he's counting down the days till he has himself a new head coach. Thanks for the memories, Ron Rivera. We'll see what new ownership decides to do. You got the Cowboys laying a monstrous number. You think you get a kitchen sink type effort out of Washington, or are they just too depleted, too decimated, and quite frankly, too lousy on defense to go and keep this game interesting?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell the difference between the Commanders when it's a kitchen sink game and not a kitchen sink game. I mean, I don't know exactly what they have in there to throw out against the Cowboys. I will say this, though. In Week 18, in situations like this, I generally get scared off by the lines that are this big. I mean, just too many times we've been sitting here in Week 18 and weird stuff happens, and all of a sudden you're looking up, seeing a team that's got nothing to play for, all of a sudden in a close game in the fourth quarter. So I don't like the game because the Cowboys generally against these inferior opponents, they take care of business and it's over. And I know they probably want to sit their guys in the fourth quarter if they can. If I had to pick a side, I'm probably just going to take the points. Plus 13.5, Sam Howell, pad those stats a little bit, make it look good on your Pro Football Reference page whenever you're a free agent in years ahead. So I would probably take the points, take the 13.5, but that's a stay away from me.
Okay.
By the way, let me just say, kitchen sinks look a lot different when there's sewage running through the stadium, which is the case in Washington.
Yeah, they're not nearly as pretty and as appealing and as juicy as maybe a certain a kitchen sink. The Eagles, Sheil. So I gave out the Giants today as my man's best bet, our underdog money line outright play. And it just had to do with motivation. I know the Eagles have dominated the Giants. They beat them on Christmas Day. They beat them 3 times last year. They're not going to get the 2 seed. The Cowboys are not losing this game to the Commanders. You know the history on that MetLife Stadium turf. It's a sloppy, wet day in New Jersey. If you're Sirianni and the Eagles, are you playing this game with your starters out there for 4 quarters? Like my feeling and my thought is they won't. And that's why I think there's value with the Giants to go and win this game. How do you anticipate the Eagles handling Week 18?
Yeah, I think they're going to start their starters, most of them, not the guys who are questionable. Devontae Smith is out. Darius Slay is out. I think the other guys will be out there to begin the game because I'm with you. I mean, listen, the Cowboys should not lose that game. Generally, a 13.5-point favorite, it's what, like a 10, a dog is what, 10, 12% chance to win the game. So those are the odds the Eagles are working with. However, the leverage is huge because if you look at it, I mean, if you're the Eagles, this is the difference between the 5 seed and the 2 seed, playing 2 games at home and potentially only having to go on the road once to get to the Super Bowl. So there is that, the stakes are pretty high for the Eagles. So I think they start their starters. I think at some point, if that Cowboys game looks like it's getting out of hand, they're going to start pulling guys, and that could happen, who knows, in the third quarter, certainly by the fourth quarter. So, yeah, I do like the Giants in that game. Listen, even if the Eagles are playing everybody, I mean, did we not watch last week? They had a lot to play for. They're 10.5-point favorites, and they can't get off the field. I mean, the defense with Matt Patricia, they can't even get lined up. Guys don't even have their mouthpieces in when the offense is snapping the ball. So, you don't even have to go to motivation. You can just look at the way this defense is playing and feel good about taking the Giants and the points.
You know, Sheil, the Eagle defense all year, Raheem has been nailing this narrative. Even though they were, 9-1 or 10-1, whatever the record was after that big Kansas City Monday night game. Remember, Raheem, you had this narrative, the reckoning is coming for the Eagles. They're not nearly as good as the record may be. Raheem, I got to give you props on this. You called this, right? You got to tell Sheil. You got to take a bow, big boy.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were 10-1, but they had the Pythagorean expectation of a team that should won only 7 games. They were basically this year's version of last year's Minnesota Vikings. So it's not a surprise. And even at 11-5 right now, their expected win percentage is really 8.5 games. Now, I wanted to ask you about Matt Patricia. I mean, at what point, what makes you think that you're going to bring in Matt Patricia and he's going to be the savior? And is it really that bad? Is it not fixable at all?
Oh, it's not fixable. Yeah, no, it's not fixable, right? Everybody keeps saying, what can they do schematically, personnel? No. There is no answer. And how many times do we have to see, giving Matt Patricia more responsibility? When has this worked well? It didn't work well for Belichick. It didn't work well for the Lions. It didn't work well again for Belichick. And now for the Eagles, this is the big but, because you're right, Raheem, they were 10-1, but I think internally they knew what you saw and what a lot of people saw. It's their point differential was plus 41 or something. You're not really a 10-1 team. So what adjustments do you make? And then they lose a game, they lose a couple games. And what's the big button you're going to push? The big button they push is giving Matt Patricia the defense and more responsibility. I mean, they're doing all kinds of ridiculous things. Hassan Reddick, who's a double-digit sack guy, he's dropping back into coverage 7 or 10 times a game. I said if I were his agent, I would say, Hassan, just pretend you didn't get the call and go get the quarterback. I mean, we got a contract coming up in a couple of years here. So I don't know. This defense is bad. They're going to not look good today. They're not going to look good in the wild card round. If you want to be bullish on the Eagles, and to be clear, I'm not bullish on their chances in the playoffs, all 11 starters on offense are healthy. So, they're talented on offense. They're healthy on offense. Can they go into the playoffs and just put up 30-plus on a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and advance and at least give themselves a chance? Any optimism is on the offense. It has nothing to do with the defense.
Okay, Sheil, before we get to your picks for Week 18, Dallas, Philly, Detroit, or none of the above? Who's going to give San Francisco their best run for their money?
I think it's Dallas. I still think it's Dallas. I think Dallas can win in different ways. I think they could get after the quarterback, and I think they can, move the football through the air against most opponents. So I don't know that it's going to happen. I think the 49ers are a pretty heavy favorite if they're healthy. I think they're going to come out of the NFC. But if I had to pick one of those 3 teams, I do think it would be the Cowboys.
I know Sal and Raheem love the sound of that.
Yeah.
Sal, do you... Right now, do you think your team is playing in the NFC title game, yeah or nay?
No, I don't think so, because I think you need to be able to run the ball well in January, and we're not there yet. And Tony Pollard, that's, not many people are talking about it, but that leg injury against San Francisco last year ended up being a big deal. And he's about 65% of himself, and they got rid of Ezekiel Elliott. So they, whatever happened between the Lions and Cowboys last week, I'd rather have the Lions team right now because they can run the ball. And as far as beating San Francisco goes, you have to put together a game plan like the Ravens did. Again, run the ball, force the quarterback to make errors. That second part we could do. But if we're not running the ball, there's too much pressure on Dak.
Raheem, I give you over under 1.5 playoff wins for the Cowboys. What are you taking?
I'm taking the over.
So you think they'll be playing in the NFC title game? Okay.
Yeah, not only am I taking the over, I'm going to move it to 2.
Wow.
Yeah, like I think I'm pretty confident.
Wow, moving Vigs, moving lines. All right, Sheil, Week 18 picks. Pick number 1. Wise guys are waiting to hear it. What do you have for us, sir?
All right, so I'm giving you a prop here, okay? I'm going with James Conner, 80-plus rushing yards. Now, that's at plus 124. The over-under was 70.5, but I thought I might never get invited back on to Ringer Wise Guys. I can't come soft with something like just minus 120 juice or whatever it is. I got to give you something good. So James Conner, 80-plus rushing yards, adjusted line, plus 124. This Seahawks defense is terrible. The Steelers last week ran for 202 yards against this team. The Cardinals, they feed James Conner when he's healthy. He had 26 carries last week. Last month, he's averaged over 19 rushing attempts per game. He needs, by the way, 110 yards to hit 1,000 yards for the first time in his career. Players on the Cardinals, offensive linemen talking about that this week. They like James Conner. They want him to get this. 100 plus is plus 255. So if you're feeling frisky and you want a little more juice, then go with the 100 plus. But I think James Conner's going to have a monster game against the Seahawks. So I like that one quite a bit.
And I love getting plus money. Sal, were you always one of these guys over the years that would look at the incentives for certain players the final week of the year and try to bet that accordingly? I almost feel like in many ways the books have kind of smartened up on this, and you're not getting the same numbers you normally would get. Like, you're going to pay a premium, maybe not in Sheil's case, but in a lot of these other instances for guys trying to hit bonuses, the books are going to make you pay.
Yeah, for sure. And listen, I like player props under just in general. And we saw it yesterday. Nelson Aguilar came up short of his incentive. Dalton Schultz came up short. So the books won there too. Sometimes you just don't get there, right? And they're going to adjust to the over. So I would take under in a lot of these. I bet all the underdogs, all the running backs under yardage totals. And it's kind of a crappy way to look at it. But guys get injured. The books adjust to the sexy over-unders. Over yardage totals. I went 17 and 11. It's probably the only thing I do good gambling wise with the running backs under. I think you on a week 18 basis, you can kind of look at that. I like Connor because they're going to play all their guys, but look at some guys who might play a half and go under in general. I don't think you're going to get slaughtered if you bet under running back and wide receiver totals this week.
Okay, Sheil, pick 2 is right up my alley as far as my SGP tonight. I spoil alert. I know what your second pick is, and that's okay because we are aligned, and I totally get it, and I totally understand it. But please share with the audience.
Yeah, I've got Josh Allen over 36.5 rushing yards. This is just the straight over-under, so it's minus 114. Josh Allen goes into superhero mode when it's like week 3 and they're 14-point favorites. So now you're talking about a situation where it could be winning you're in, losing you're out here against the Miami Dolphins tonight. He is going to do whatever he can to put the entire team on his back. So Bills do mix in that designed run game with Josh Allen. So there's a little bit of that you can look at, but then just scramble mode. I mean, if it's a 2-minute drill, end of the first half, end of the game, he doesn't see anyone he likes, he's going to take off. And we know that Dolphins defense, JJ is banged up with Bradley Chubb going out last week, and they lost Jalen Phillips. If one of those edge players loses contain, Josh Allen takes off. He's not sliding in week 18. Again, he doesn't slide in like the preseason. I mean, the guy's nuts. He plays every game like the Super Bowl's on the line. So in this situation where a playoff spot is actually on the line, I like Josh Allen going over that number, 36.5.
I absolutely love this. I think you're going to have a monster rushing day from Josh Allen. I like him to score a touchdown. And Sheil, you talk to a whole lot of people. Can you find anybody who likes Miami in this spot tonight? I know Raheem tried to make the case, and Sal tried to make the case. I'm a Miami Dolphins guy. I hope I'm wrong on this. I just think they're absolutely decimated going into this game. I just like the fact that everybody and their mother is on the Bills, except for the wise guys at least.
Yeah, that's what scared me a little bit because, I picked the Bills in my column on theringer.com, but no, I can't. And, I think the case for the Dolphins is that this Bills team, it's not like they're peaking at the right time. I mean, I think their A-plus game, yes, they can beat anybody, but look at them the last 2 weeks. I mean, it has not been smooth for this Buffalo Bills team. So they can turn the football over. And they've had such an up and down season where you go from one week thinking this team can win the Super Bowl to the next week thinking, is Sean McDermott going to be fired at the end of the season? And so there's such an unpredictability with them. Tua, Miami at home, they've been pretty good this year. So I think that's the case for the Dolphins, is that you put the trust in Mike McDaniel that he has a plan B after the way that first meeting went, and he's going to be able to put up some points in this game. But if I have to pick a side, I do like Buffalo in that game.
All right, before we get to weekly specials, DeAndre Swift out for Philadelphia today. You surprised by that or not really?
It goes to what you were saying. I think anyone who's got a little bit of an issue, they're going to sit those guys. So, not shocking, but that's one to keep an eye out for the wild card round, because he has been the bell cow for them. Their backups have not been nearly as explosive, not nearly as efficient.
Feel like
How do you, Sheil, how do you think that impacts today's game? There's a lot of sharp money on the Giants thinking that the Eagles probably won't play this full game. We know DeAndre Swift is so explosive. He's a big part of that running game. Does that change your view on what happens today?
Not in a huge way, but yeah, a little bit. I mean, I think the Eagles' run game will not be as good with Kenny Gainwell, or who knows if Rashad Penny, who's just been, I don't know, they locked him away somewhere, maybe in South. I don't know. No one's seen the guy all season long, so maybe he comes out in this game. But I wouldn't say, it affects it in a huge way. They're offensive line based. Jalen Hurts is a threat in the run game base, so I don't think the running back is a huge factor. But still, Swift is a better player than those other two guys.
I like a Boston Scott anytime touchdown today.
That's
I know
right.
He didn't score against the Giants the last time out, but you know anything about the Giants and the Eagles? Boston Scott likes finding pay dirt. House, I'm going to start with you on this. Weekly special. We'll go around the horn quickly. What do you got for us, sir, here in Week 18?
I am doing each team to score a field goal in the 1 o'clock games. There are 6 1 o'clock games. 2 of them are in a dome. I feel good about those. 4 of the games have playoff implications. The other 2, the ones without playoff implications, are in weather. So I think it's going to be hard for teams to those teams to get to the end zone, but they might, the long snowball. It's a plus 700. I think that's it. Each team to score 1 or more field goal in the 1 o'clock game.
All right, there you have it. Sheil, weekly special, Week 18. What did you find on lovely FanDuel?
I got Jordan Love, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray to combine for 6+ passing touchdowns. That's plus 130. Dak leads the NFL in passing touchdowns. Jordan Love is third. And Kyler Murray, again, going up against that Seahawks defense. Can he get a couple for you? I think he can. So I like those 3 combining for 6+ touchdowns.
Dream, what are we thinking, buddy?
We're going to go with each team scores 1 passing touchdowns in the late afternoon games, the 4 o'clock games, plus 1,600. There's 7 games. A lot of these teams are just pretty much resting for next week. So I assume that the defenses won't be pretty vanilla. So let's take a shot on that.
Well, I'm just glad you didn't include the 1 o'clock games, because that means I don't have to root for Trevor Siemian to go and throw a touchdown against New England. I don't know if that's going to happen. Sal, floor is yours. Weekly special.
Well, of course, I made a big case for betting individual player prop unders. And so what am I going to do? I like Jahmyr Gibbs, 85+ rushing yards at plus 260. I just love the number plus 260. Now, this is not an incentive in his contract as far as I know, but he did say in the beginning of the year, one of his goals is to get 1,000 yards, and he's up for it. He had 152 against the Raiders, 100 against Denver. This guy busts off. He has about 4 or 5 30-yard runs this season. So for him to get 85+, not a crazy thing to think of. Plus 260, that's my pick.
Guys, last but not least, I'm going to one of the marquee games of the day. It's Chicago and Green Bay, and this is a fun one, I think, if you're betting the Bears. And I'm not, actually. I like Green Bay to win the game, but Justin Fields to get a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown. Plus 220. Juicy value on plus 220 for Justin Fields, who has a whole lot to prove. He might be auditioning for his next team. He might be trying to campaign to remain the starter of the Chicago Bears. Sheil, thanks for joining us. Quickly, parting thought. Does Justin Fields start week 1 with the Chicago Bears, or does he start week 1 in a different uniform next season?
Different uniform. I don't think the Bears are passing up on the potential of a top first or second round, Caleb Williams or Drake May. I think Justin Fields is gone. I think it's been a nice story, but you've had 3 years. You haven't seen it. I think they move on.
I'm going to throw a wrench here, JJ. Yeah. I think different uniform, but with the Bears. And he comes out on the field and everyone's like, what the hell are you doing, Justin? What are you wearing a Patriots jersey? He's like, oh, my bad. I got it on sale or something. I think you can get good odds for that on FanDuel.
I'll look into that. I hope FanDuel has that up before the wild card round. I think Justin Fields, Atlanta Falcon quarterback, sounds pretty nice. For Raheem Palmer, Sal, Joe House, John Jastremski, want to thank Sheil Kapadia for joining us. He's been a part of our show in our digital time each and every week. We'll be back double dip for wild card weekend. The boys will be out in Los Angeles Saturday and Sunday. A lot of shenanigans. Until then, boys are out. Be good, everybody.